Hey guys, welcome to Individual Investor. The security analysis book written by Benjamin Graham is considered the Bible of value investing. It contains over 800 pages, and so far there has been 6 editions of the book. The first one was published in 1934, and the last one, the 6th edition, was published in 2008. One question that I had myself is, okay, which edition should I read? And that's the question that I'm planning to address in this video. Alright, so what I ended up doing is actually getting 2 editions of the book. I got the 2nd edition, the one published in 1940, and I also got the last edition, the one published in 2008. And the reason why, I will explain in the rest of the video. But basically, Warren Buffett himself, he recommends the 2nd edition, or he says that he likes the 2nd edition the most because this is the last edition where the original authors, Benjamin Graham and David Dodd, have 100% involvement in everything that goes on in the book from start to finish. The other editions, the 3rd one, 4th one, 5th one, and the last one, they have a bunch of co-authors and collaborators, so the content of the book has been slightly modified from the original versions, the first one and the 2nd one. There are additional comments, introductions, etc. Some chapters have been removed. So that's why Warren Buffett likes the 2nd edition the most. And in fact, the last edition, the 2008 one, this one right here, has been heavily criticized because they removed 11 chapters or 11 parts from the original edition. If you actually compare the two, the 2008 one is it looks slightly smaller, right, the book. But yeah, they took 11 chapters out of the original edition, and they added additional commentary and introduction from different modern investors to actually compensate for those chapters, which is something that I personally really liked. Now, regardless of the edition of the book that you read, for me the most important part is actually the first part or the first chapter, which remains unchanged across all editions. Part 1 of the book includes 5 chapters which are super important because here is where Graham very clearly explains the concept of intrinsic value, qualitative and quantitative factors when analyzing securities, the difference between investment and speculation, and also the explanation of preferred stock, common stock, and bonds, which is basically just the classification or types of securities. Regardless of the edition of the book that you read, part 1 is the most relevant because those concepts are basically timeless. They were applicable 80 years ago when the books were written and published, and they will continue to be applicable in the foreseeable future. Something that I found a little bit challenging when reading the 2nd edition of the book is that I struggled to connect the concepts from the book to today's market conditions and today's methods of evaluating and pricing companies. And something that didn't help is that this was, I think, the 2nd or the 3rd book that I read on investing. So I read another, I forget the first book that I ever read, but I remember reading The Intelligent Investor first, and then afterwards I read this one. So I was a new investor, and this definitely is I would say it's a book for more advanced investors. Perhaps if you are an advanced investor, you can read the book and automatically make the connection and associate all of the concepts and learnings and adapt those to today's markets. But I struggled a little bit with that. And the reason was that Benjamin Graham actually anchored pretty heavily, or the way he priced stocks was mainly by anchoring on the balance sheet and income statements, and particularly focusing on hard assets and earnings record, or the PE ratio, and how it compared to the bond yield at the time. And as you know, in today's world, and as of the last 40 or 50 years, There has been an important financial metric that is crucial when valuing companies and when pricing stocks, which is the free cash flow, and in general, just the analysis of the cash flow statement. And when this book was published in 1940, cash flow analysis was not even a thing. In fact, companies or public companies were not even required to publish their cash flow statements. And something nice about the last edition or the sixth edition, despite the fact that it is missing 11 parts, is actually all the introductions and commentary written by modern investors, because it helps you put all these concepts into perspective in today's investing environment. And something nice about the last edition or the sixth edition is actually all these introductions and commentary written by modern investors, which in my opinion makes up for the fact that this book is missing 11 chapters from the original editions. There is also a foreword written by Warren Buffett and a preface by Seth Klarman that are pretty insightful. These introductions are super useful because they take the classic concepts from the book and apply them to recent history with many relevant examples. So to wrap this up, what I recommend you do is exactly what I did and get both editions of the book. Get the second one and the sixth one, then read the second one or many times until you feel comfortable with the concepts, and then read all the introductions and commentary from the sixth edition at the beginning of the 9 parts or main chapters, and you will see how everything will make a lot of sense, and you can actually see how other investors other than Warren Buffett actually applied the lessons taught by Benjamin Graham and David Dodd in the original edition of the book. And with that, I would like to thank you for joining me today, guys. If you read any of the security analysis books and you have any other tips or recommendations, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care.